Hi guys, now this video response is probably going to upset a lot of people, but I believe it needed to be done. Now James O'Brien is somebody I normally agree with, but on this occasion I believe he's completely wrong. Now he's responding here of course to the strike action or potential strike action by junior or resident doctors over pay. I believe they're in the right, James believes they're in the wrong. Have a listen.
I can't do it. I'm sorry, guys, but 22% over 2 years, 5.4% last year, asking again for a big rise this year when we know that...
Okay, first of all, it's not a pay rise. So we're off to a bad start here. The junior or resident doctors are not asking for a pay rise in most of this case. They're asking for pay restoration. So their pay has been pretty much frozen since 2010 or even before that. And what they're asking for is their pay to be restored and maybe a little bit extra. Now that will have to be negotiated, but the core part is pay restoration, not a pay rise. So we're right off to a bad start here.
The public purse is in dire straits seems to me to be wrong to the point of offensive.
So it's offensive to ask for pay restoration while, as you said, the economy is in dire straits. So doctors should just sit down and shut the F up. Is that it? Because if you tell doctors to sit down and shut the F up, what they're going to do is they're going to leave and work in the private sector. They're going to leave to countries like Australia or Canada where the paying conditions are better. Is that what you want? Do you think that's actually going to be good for the economy? Do you think that's going to bring down the NHS waiting list? Because the option on the table for the government is to deal with this strike, to avoid this strike and hold on to these doctors, provide them with decent paying conditions so that they stay, or fight with them and maybe stop the strike, but then have the result of them leaving the profession altogether, which is going to undermine the government's plan to bring down the NHS waiting list. And this is, of course, going to damage the economy because more and more people will be off sick. It's nonsensical. It's scoring a tactical victory and losing a strategic one.
52 to 26, a halving of support for this mooted strike. Is it simply down to the fact that we can crunch these numbers ourselves and we cannot muster support for an industrial action being taken over pay by people who've received eye-watering rises in...
Once again, he keeps calling them rises, but they're not rises. It's restoration. They received pay restoration recently. They want more. Because it's not enough. And other trade unions have done deals with the government. And you're going to hear this of, well, you know, if other trade unions were happy, but they were not happy. They decided, okay, we'll do a deal with the government. Not every trade union has to go along with every other trade union. But the core problem here is if you don't pay them enough, they're going to leave. Do you want a society where doctors and nurses, or in this case doctors, are leaving the profession over pay?
In recent years, and the argument that, well, yes, but if you go back 17 years, you'll see that they have actually fallen behind parity in real terms. It just isn't washing with me. You can tell by the way that I sound a bit pained. I don't like the position that I find myself in, but I'm nothing if not honest with you every day. And right now, arguments, well-rehearsed arguments notwithstanding, I can't see it. I can't get past the numbers.
If you're looking at the numbers and you're saying, well, look, their pay has increased by 25 or 26 or whatever %. If you're just looking at those numbers, then you'll say, well, why are they complaining? Why don't you actually listen to their concerns? Listen to what they're saying. And they keep saying the same thing. It's not difficult to find this information. They keep saying the same thing. If you don't improve our wages, if you don't restore them, doctors will leave the profession. They will go to other countries. They will go and work in the private sector. Think about the stress that a junior or resident doctor is under on a daily basis. Is it worth, what is it, £22 an hour? Would James O'Brien work for £22 an hour? Of course not. His response to all of this is, well, look, I'm in the private sector. You know, you can't compare my work and their work, or my pay and their pay. Okay. But you're asking them to sit down and shut the F up because, what is it, polling is against them, because the public have been convinced by the media And this is where the public get their opinion from. They get their opinion from the media. The media is telling them, no, there's no real justification here. Look, they received a massive pay increase, bigger than anyone else. When in reality, as I keep saying, it's a pay restoration. But let's leave the figures aside for a moment. If the doctors are not happy, what are they going to do? They're going to leave the profession or the country. Is that what you want? Over a few million quid? Because that's what you're going to have. And then what's going to happen? As I said before, the NHS waiting list is going to go up. More people are going to be off sick because they can't get an NHS appointment. What's that going to do to the economy? What's that going to do to the Labour Party? Because Labour have built everything on, we're going to improve the situation in the NHS and we're going to turn things around, and this is going to be our ticket to winning the next election. From a political point of view, the Labour Party should be moving mountains to keep the junior doctors happy. Because once again, you may score a tactical victory by stopping the strike, by, facing down the unions and discouraging the public from supporting them. And that they might win that battle. But in the long term, doctors will not be happy and they will leave. And you're going to see the NHS waiting list increase. You're going to see dissatisfaction within the NHS increase. And then what are people going to do? They're going to blame the government. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.